Imagine having a health crisis so widespread that almost every family around you has been touched by it. Yet the nearest treatment center is hours away. Funding is low, and cultural healing practices are often ignored. For many Native American communities, this isn't just a statistic, it is daily life. My name is Michelle Taylor, and through my Human Services and Social Issues coursework, I have spent a lot of time studying addiction, trauma, and inequality. The more I learn about Native communities, the clearer it became that the addiction is not just an individual struggle. It's a community-wide issue shaped by history, healthcare access, and cultural resilience. Today, I want to explain the root cause behind addiction in Native American communities, how it affects individuals and families, and the cultural-based solutions that are helping many people heal. Understanding these issues matters because it helps see how historical trauma, inequality, and cultural all intersect to shape health outcomes. To begin, we have to understand that addiction in Native communities didn't appear out of nowhere. It is deeply tied to something called historical trauma. According to Braveheart and colleagues, historical trauma refers to the emotional and psychological wounds that Indonesian communities have carried for generations. These wounds come from events like colonialization, forced removal from homelands, and the boarding school system where children were taken from their families, punished for speaking their language, and for practicing their cultures. This trauma didn't just affect the people who lived through it. It was passed on to their children and their grandchildren. Many Native individuals struggle with anxiety, depression, and unresolved grief, and substance use can sometimes become a way of coping with that pain. Understanding historical trauma helps us see that addiction is not a personal failure. It is tied to a long history of loss and oppression. But history is only one part of the story. The challenges people face today make recovery even harder. Even when some people want help, treatment isn't always available. Many reservations have only one clinic or none at all. And the Indian Health Service, the federal program meant to provide health care, is consistently underfunded. Venner, Greenfield, and Hagler found that Native Americans face some of the highest barriers to addiction treatment of any group in the United States. These barriers include long distances to treatment facilities, limited mental health services, and programs that often do not reflect Native cultures and values. Even when treatment is available, many Native individuals do not finish programs because they feel disconnected or misunderstood. Imagine trying to heal from trauma and addiction, but your therapist knows nothing about your culture, your tribe's traditions, or the history that even shaped their life. That gap alone can make recovery harder. But despite these challenges, Native American communities are creating strong and meaningful solutions based on culture, identity, and community support. This brings me to my last point. The solutions that are working across many tribes, traditional healing practices are being brought into addiction recovery programs, and they're showing promising results. Examples include talking circles, sweat lodges, drumming, ceremonies, and reconnecting to tribal language and traditions. These practices help people rebuild identity and create a sense of belonging, which is something addiction often takes away. J.P. Gaughan explains that culturally grounded treatments strengthen identity, can reduce relapse because they address both emotional healing and cultural healing at the same time. Some communities have even created recovery programs led by tribal elders and cultural mentors. These programs focus not just on sobriety, but on reconnecting people to who they are and where they come from. For many Native individuals, healing isn't complete without that cultural connection. Today, we explored 3 keys areas. First, how historical trauma created conditions that make addiction more likely. Second, how limited access to healthcare makes it harder for Native individuals to get help. And finally, how culturally based healing practices are helping communities recover and rebuild. Addiction may be widespread in Native American communities, but so is resilience. Even with limited resources, Native people continue to fight for healing, identity, and survival, and their strength deserves to be recognized. I encourage you to take the time to learn more about Native history, understand how trauma affects health today, and supports programs that use cultural and community-based approaches. We understand the roots of addiction. We can support solutions that make a difference. Thank you.